class, and definitely if you are attentive, then things would be very clear to you. And if you are very attentive, then you can ask question as well for better understanding of any concept. So if you are in live interaction, then definitely things would be uh, clear to everyone. So we will talk about cumulative distribution function in detail. What is so coming to this lecture, first I will give a recap of last problem. In last lecture, I had already discussed about parameter of a continuous random variable. There we had discussed about expectation and variance. Both we had discussed about that, and there was one problem I could not cover in last class. Today I will cover. After that, I will go to discuss about cumulative distribution function. So one problem is related to time elapse of meteorite as an exponential random variable. Meteorite or some external body you might have already seen during night time. Something is falling from a sky or such kind of activity you might have already observed that. So we will try to see that time elapse of one of such external body, that one is falling in our galaxy. So such kind of things, how we can model how much time it is taking, time elapsing, so how we can model that time elapse. That means that time it is taking to fall from somewhere else to our galaxy. It will have an exponential random variable nature. So what we do here, with the time until a small meteorite first lands anywhere in, suppose in Sahara desert, it is modeled as a exponential random variable with mean of 10 days. Mean is here, it is lambda is mean. Actually, if we are having an exponential random variable, and corresponding distribution of exponential random variable, it happens to be lambda times e to the power minus lambda x when x is greater than equal to 0. So this is the definition of exponential PDF of exponential random variable, and the corresponding mean what happens. So mean, it always happens in term of lambda. We had already seen the calculation of mean of one exponential random variable. It was 1 by lambda. And similarly, if you calculate variance of this exponential random variable, variance was also in term of lambda. That's why lambda is very special, is playing very important role in order to define exponential random variable, and that lambda also we are calling it a parameter. And you can easily see that mean is always defined in term of parameter. So that's way here it is already given that mean is 10 days. That means 1 by lambda equal to 10 days, it is already given here. That means lambda equal to 1 by 10. You can say that it is already given. And the time is currently midnight. The current time is, suppose at the current time it is midnight, then you have to find the probability that a meteorite first lands somewhere time between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you have to find the probability that some that meteorite, that one is landing in Sahara desert with this mean 10 days. Then you have to find what is the probability that external object, that external body object or meteorite that falls in the Sahara district between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we have to just find this probability. So this probability is very easy to find. Why? Because we know that it is already given here. This problem can be modeled by exponential random variable. So we know the what is the probability density function of exponential random variable. It is given by this is the propositive. Just I am writing it. Time always happens. Time is always taking non-negative value. Time can't be negative. So that's why this part I have taken only. Now also we have to find this probability. So what you do? So if you take a clock of 24 hour, like this way, 24-hour clock, better this clock will cover uh, only 12. So 24 hour you can see that you can start, generally you start 12 a.m. midnight, that we are calling it 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Then you can go for 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. and likewise. So just for understanding that how we can further divide this time, this 24-hour clock into hour clock in a very simple area wise how we can divide it. So we will see that here 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. So how much time is coming in 12? How much percentage of time is coming between 12 to 6? It would be 1 by 4. 1 by 4. 25% time is coming from in the complete period of 24 hours. The complete duration of 24 hours. 25%, that means equal to 1 by 4 time is falls in this category. Then next 1 by 4 will it will come in 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. Then next 1 by 4, that means 20%, here mention it here 1 by 4. Then next 25% time it will falls between the total time. It is divided like this way. Total time of 24 hour it is divided 6 p.m. 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. It covers again 25% times, that means 1 by 4. And finally 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. that will also cover 24%. So in total it gives a complete distribution of 24 hours. So it is one kind of distribution of 24 hours. So one way uniformly you have divided like this way. 12 a.m. So like this way. This is the distribution of time of 24-hour time. Okay. Now coming to main question. Question is that what is the probability that a meteorite first land sometime between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. of the first day. So here we have already given that x it is happens to be time elapsed until the event of interest. So it is x is exponentially distributed because time always happens to be continuous in nature. Time can't be discrete in nature. Time always happens to be continuous in nature. So that's why we can't model x through geometric random variable. We need to model x using exponential random variable. Then x is exponential random variable with mean 1 by lambda, and mean is already given, it is 10 days. So 1 by lambda equal to 10. It implies that lambda equal to 1 by 10. So value of lambda is already given from the problem. Okay. So our question is that we have to find the desired probability that that random variable, that time elapsed falls between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It means x is taking value from 1 by 4 to 3 by 4. So that's why I had divided this distribution. So this one is, that means 1 by 4 is equivalent to 6 p.m. 1 by sorry 3 by 4 is equivalent to 6 p.m. Okay, that's way. So you have to find this probability, and x is exponentially distributed. So very easy to find it. So how you can find this probability? So if you go in plotting of exponential distribution, so this is the plot of exponential distribution. You can look like this way. So x is taking value along horizontal axis, and the corresponding PDF f of x, call it, it is taking value along vertical axis, and the distribution is coming like this way. It is exponential distribution, so it is going like, it is having an exponential plot, so it will go like this way. And now here you have to find the probability that x is taking value between 1 by 4. So 1 by 4 it would be somewhere here. So if this point, suppose this one is 1 by 4, 1 by 4, and this point is 3 by 4. Okay, 3 by 4. So finding probability that x is between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. means x is between 1 by 4 to 3 by 4. That means just you have to find this area. So how you can find this area? We know that this total area is equal to 1 due to normalizing condition. And if you try to apply the condition of what we call it that tail probability, you can or you can object tail probability, you can say that someone is going to calculate if someone is saying that what is this probability that x is taking value 1 by 4 onward, that means x is greater than or equal to 1 by 4 onward. So that one is that is counting tail probability that x is greater than or equal to 1 by 4. So this probability is means it is equivalent to, it is talking about this area completely, all this area after whatever x is taking value after 1 by 4. And now but we are interested to find this value only. So how you can get this value? So if you focus over here 3 by 4, so if you take x such that x is greater than or equal to 3 by 4, x is greater than or equal to 3 by 4. So it will talk about the tail probability that x is taking value afterward 3 by 4. So after 3 by 4 is here, afterward 3 by 4. So what you do, subtract this area from, okay, this area from this total area, that the probability of x greater than or equal to 1 by 4. Then remaining thing would be this one. So this is your desired probability. That's why I have taken it here. That the desired probability is actually difference of that probability, this tail probability minus this tail probability. And I had already explained that in uh, during the explanation of exponential random variable, it is very easy to calculate tail probability of exponential random variable. Why? Because it would be just it would be in term of exponential. So it would be it is power lambda t. This value would be what? Probability that x is greater than or equal to, call it a. So if you are calling it a1, call it a1, and this one is, call it a2. A1 is 1 by 4, A2 is 3 by 4. So this tail probability, it would be just exponential in nature. It would be e to the power minus lambda A1, and this probability would be e to the power minus lambda A2. So very simple to calculate due to nice property of exponential random variable. And here A1 is 1 by 4 and lambda is 1 by 10. Substitute. So what it becomes? It becomes e to the power minus 1 by 40 minus e to the power minus 3 by 40. Just calculate this and value will be around point, very less value, point 0.476 something. So value, this one easily you can calculate from tabular value of exponential function. You can calculate it. This value is very small. That means you can say that it is approximately 4%. It is coming around approx 4%, 4.7%, or 5. You can say that 4. Better write it's 4.7%, 4.76%, around 5%. This value is coming around very less probability. This desired probability is very less. There is very less chance that this meteorite will fall in this interval 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Very less chance. That means you are safe during daytime. It may happen during night time. So that is the probability. So we have already calculated here. Probably thanks to this problem we solve thanks to exponential random variable, we can say. So I'm coming to main part of this lecture, that we will discuss in detail about cumulative distribution function. So this is the unified approach of dealing both discrete and continuous random variable in together. So how we can define it? So we have already seen that discrete random variable and continuous random variable. That discrete is dealing with probability mass function and continuous is dealing with the probability density function. So both both kind of random variable, we are having different concept in order to discuss about probability law. But how we can generalize it? With the help of cumulative distribution function, we can describe all kinds of random variable with a single mathematical concept. Any kind of random variable. If you are having a joint, like if you are taking a joint random variable, then there are four possibility. Four possibility in sense that it may happen that x is a discrete random variable and y is also a discrete random variable. One possibility, that means d. In short, I am writing one possibility is d comma d. That means x is also discrete and y is also discrete. Another possibility is x is discrete and y is a continuous. So d comma c. Another possibility is that x may be continuous and y is a discrete. So C comma D situation is coming. And another possibility is that when X and Y both might be continuous, so various situations are coming. So if both random variable X and Y happens to be discrete, then we can easily define joint distribution. Joint discrete distribution we can define, there would be no issue, that one you can define. Similarly, if both happens to be continuous random variable, then we can define joint continuous random variable. Okay, that time there would be no issue. But when one is discrete, another one is continuous, in this scenario it is very difficult to define uh, that distribution probability law. We can't define probability law here by just using discrete probability mass function or uh, probability density function. We can't define. So that's way. So to describe such kind of situation, we need to know one common kind of concept. That concept we are calling it cumulative distribution function. So here I am going to define it. So the CDF or cumulative distribution function of a random variable X, generally we denote it by capital F, and it is defined as, it is talking about that probability up to X. That this capital F, the CDF of a any random variable, any kind of random variable, whether it is discrete or continuous, it is defined by probability that the random variable is taking value up to X. That means it is starting from minus infinity, it is coming up to X. Up to X. So that up to X, simply you can say that. So in particular, for any X, we can define probability, this community distribution function uh, by this way. That means capital F of X is equal to probability that X is taking value up to X. And further, if you try to see individuality of discrete and continuous random variable, then you can look into that up to X probability. You can look at X, when X is discrete, then it will talk about this up to X probability, it will convert it into summation. That means we have to find the all the probability of the value of X up to X and sum it up. So that one is giving your cumulative distribution function for discrete random variable X. And suppose if X is continuous, then that time there is a continuum of values of X. X is taking value from some interval or union of interval. So that's why here summation is not possible. So there that summation will be converted into integral. So that means we are integrating from minus infinity up to X. Up to X. So here in case of continuous random variable, the cumulative distribution function in term of probability density function is defined in integral from minus infinity to X of the corresponding probability density function. But when X is discrete, it is defined in term of summation of probability mass function up to X. That k is taking value up to X. Here I had already mentioned that X is a discrete random variable. That time a specific value of random discrete random variable you can denote it by k. So that's why k notation is coming here. And here S is what? It is a dummy variable. You know, within integral, if some variable is there, definitely it will be exhausted. So respective to give a very fixed notation for that variable, you can call this notation as a dummy variable notation. Those are part of integration. You might be clear from Math 1 or high school calculus. Okay, if you are having any question, you can ask. Otherwise, I am going forward. I will take few example, and I will also talk about few properties of cumulative distribution function. So till now, I had already explained what is a cumulative distribution function. Simply, you can say that cumulative distribution is talking about probability of some random variable, that one is taking value up to X. Simply you can say up to X, probability up to X. So that how you measure that. In case of discrete, you measure through summation. In case of continuous, you measure through integration. So that is the difference between these two approach uh, uh, of cumulative distribution function. Okay. So going forward, if you take any random variable, that one is associated with some kind of probability model, and it has a CDF. Uh, Definitely that random variable will have a CDF regardless of whether it is a discrete or continuous or mix up or mixed kind of random variable, irrespective of any kind of. But when someone is saying that X is a discrete random variable, then for discrete random variable we can't define probability density function. We are having just probability mass function. For discrete random variable, we are having probability mass function. We can't have probability density function. Similarly, suppose someone is saying if x is discrete random variable, then the probability law, we define it by, we characterize it by probability mass function. Suppose x is a continuous random variable, then the probability law, we need to describe it with the help of uh, probability density function. Probability density function, or in short we call it PDF. But suppose x is happens to be in mixed kind of thing. Sometimes x is taking discrete value, sometimes x is taking continuous value. That time you can't explain only with the help of probability mass function or probability density function. You can't explain. So, but one thing is that you can always explain such kind of random variable by CDF. So that's why CDF is providing, or community distribution is providing a very general framework to deal any kind of random variable that one is coming from any probability given probability model. Okay, so that's why it is providing it is very general in nature, generic in nature. Now, this is because we know that why it is happening, because we know that this x is the random variable x is taking value up to x or less than equal to x. It always talking about event. It is not talking about a random variable completely. If you just fixing like this way, so it is talking about some possible value of outcomes. It is not talking about all possible value of outcome. So that's way it is an event, and event is very well defined. Event is having, definitely if you're taking event, an event definitely it will have probability, and CDF is defined in terms of probability. That's why the concept that if you are taking any kind of random variable, whether it is discrete or continuous or whatever mixed kind of random variable, that would always have a CDF, irrespective of nature of random variable, that would have CDF. Okay. Now, few more further properties of community distribution function is that if you try to observe the plot of community distribution function, you will observe that it is always monotonically non-decreasing. That means it is always increasing. That means if you take any two value of random variable such that x is less than or equal to y, then corresponding value of the CDF, it would be uh, here f of x would be less than or equal to f of y. So that approach you observe that means the community distribution function is always monotonically non-decreasing. That means it is always increasing in nature. Okay, and further you can observe that if you are taking x is approaching to negative infinity, the CDF will approach to 0, and vice versa. Also you can observe that if x is approaching to infinity, then we observe that CDF will approach 1. So maximum value of CDF can be 1 and minimum value would be 0. So so that's why CDF is giving the same framework what we had already observed for probability mass function. So CDF, you can define it is a mapping from where to where. It is a mapping from value of random variable or range of random variable to 0 1. You can call like this one. It is giving similar. So directly CDF is dealing with probability. You can talk like this way. So range is 0. Further we can observe that if x is a discrete random variable, then the corresponding CDF, cumulative distribution function, it is piecewise continuous, or simply further you can say that it is piecewise constant, and it is a staircase kind of form. I will give picture of those things as well. If x is a continuously random variable, then we will see that the CDF is continuously varying. That means it is a continuous function. CDF happens to be continuous function. So if x is discrete function, the CDF happens to be piecewise constant or piecewise discontinuous, or a staircase like form, or a step. What a step, you might have already seen that if you're visiting some kind of temple or home or somewhere else, a step, you might have already seen that a step kind of shape it is taking. So there is a sequence of a steps. So such kind of a structure you will get, and this CDF of continuous random variable is always continuous function. So in next, I had already taken. So further property, it says that if x is a discrete random variable, and further we put that x is taking integer value, that we are excluding rational value. That rational also, if because domain of a discrete random variable always happens to be a discrete set. That the range of a discrete random variable always happens to be a discrete set. So what I had already mentioned that rational set, a rational number, set of rational numbers also forming a discrete set. That one is not a continuous set. It is a discrete set if you are taking rational numbers. So so I'm excluding that part here in that case. So here I'm taking, suppose range of x is a what it is taking only integral value, integers. It is taking only z, integers. So such scenario, very special case I have taken. And then the the relation, the protein mass function and the CDF can be obtained from each other. So if you know protein mass function, easily from the definition you can calculate CDF. How? You can calculate CDF by introducing formula x is less than equal to the property that x is less than equal to x, and what is this? So in case of discrete, sum it up all the probability up to x, value of probability mass function that taking value up to x. So here we will put it k, and k is taking value up to x. So how we write up to x? We write that k is less than equal to x. That is meaning of up to x. So through this you can calculate probability CDF, that cumulative distribution you can easily calculate, and we denote it by this one. So it is directly coming from the definition of CDF of x. Now, next question is coming that if CDF is given here, how we can calculate probability mass function from CDF? So this concept you can do it here, like by differentiating we can get, or difference, not differentiating, by differencing. So differencing we can get PMF. Take two consecutive value of CDF, and if you take difference of those consecutive value, the difference would give a probability mass function of the corresponding discrete random variable. So your situation is like this way. So if you are having probability mass function, and this x is taking discrete value, uh, discrete integer value, so you can define CDF like this way, but just by summing it up from I, that is from minus and up to k. So that is meaning of f of k. Okay, now once you are having this one, so just how we can find this probability mass function? We can find by taking difference of this CDF and this CDF, these two conjugative CDF. That means find the value of CDF at point k and k minus 1 and take difference. That difference would give your probability mass function. So it is vice versa, both times. If you are having probability mass function, you can get cumulative distribution function. If you are having cumulative distribution function, you can get probability mass function through differencing. Through differencing, we can get, provided that x is a discrete random variable and it takes only discrete integral value or integer value. Similar situation is coming for continuous random variable, that if you are having PDF, integrate it up to x, you will get CDF due to definition of the CDF. Now, suppose you are having CDF, then apply the property of Leibniz approach, that we can integrate a function within integral. We can integrate. So by applying Leibniz rule, we can also get back our PDF. If you are having CDF, we can get back our PDF. So how? So this approach is like this way. So if you are having PDF, protein density function, then integrate up to x, you will get your CDF. Okay. Now suppose you are having this CDF. How you can get PDF? This PDF FX. So apply Leibniz rule. Anyone know about Leibniz rule of differentiation within integral? If you don't know, you need to revise. Okay. Is it clear to everyone what is Leibniz law for integration? Dilip, do you know what is Leibniz rule for differentiation of a function within integral? Have you seen that Leibniz rule? Dilip, are you listening me? So do you know that Leibniz rule or not? Okay, okay. That one is very simple rule. Just if you anyone, if everyone might have problem, then definitely I will come with that rule, because it is part of calculus and very elementary. Even in your class 12, you might have already seen that Leibniz rule. So just recall that, and through that you can see here that approach, that how you can get probability density function from community distribution function. So that is the approach in case of continuous random variable. Okay. Okay, I am going forward. So simple here, differentiate both side using Leibniz rule. I'm writing it Leibniz rule. You will get back your PDF. If you are having CDF, you can get back PDF in case of continuous random variable. So that is the story of all the properties of community distribution function. So every properties I have already discussed. I will talk about one more interesting correspondence between community distribution function and probability law. So what are those? The CDF of some random variable and their association we can see in this pictorial form. So if you are taking a discrete random variable. Here x is a taking value 1, 2, 3, 4. So discretely x is taking value in discrete fashion. So you can observe that this is the highest probability mass function, value of highest probability mass function. So discrete in fashion. So if you are willing to calculate CDF, what you do? So keep on summing. So someone is saying that CDF x is equal to 2. That means you are, suppose if you are taking x equal to 2, so that means you are going to calculate CDF at x equal to 2. So it will just defined by the corresponding definition. It is talking about that x, it is talking about probability that x is taking value up to 2, up to 2. What does it mean? So what are the value that x is taking value up to 2? So it is talking about only 2 value. So x is taking only 2 value up to 2, that those are 1 and 2. So that means CDF we can get it through uh, x is taking value 1. First one is x is taking value 1, up to 2 means x equal to 1 plus, we have to sum all the probability that x is taking value up to 2, then that plus sum x equal to 2. So you can observe that this up to 1 it will be just it would be this up to 1 nothing is coming, 0 x is having 0 probability up to 1. Now when 1 it will come here, and up to 2 what would be, uh, it would be this probability, this summation will come, and here you can observe that the summation it will keep on growing. So up to just before 1, or you can take it like this way, plot is something coming. So here jump you can see it here at 2 it is taking jump, and it will go up to 3, then like up to 4 and up to 5, and finally it will go up to 1. If you sum all these probabilities, summation would be 1. So that's why maximum value of CDF it would be 1. So a staircase kind of situation you will observe that if you take this distribution, x is taking 3 value, this value and this value, and at other place other value of x distribution is what, probability mass function is 0, so meaningless to talk about. So if you try to derive corresponding CDF, it will take this stairs. So you can easily observe discontinuity. So there is discontinuity. What kind of continuity in CDF you observe? Jump kind of discontinuity. There is a jump. So here from here it will go. You can put it like here, like this way. Uh, open ball. That means it is not taking this value. It is here. It is value is taken by this point. Okay. So jump kind of situation, jump kind of discontinuity you observe in CDF in case of discrete random variable. Now there is another scenario in case of continuous random variable. So if you are taking continuous random variable, like here up to a, x is taking 0 value, then between a to b, x is taking what, x is taking uniformly, it is uniformly distributed. Value is 1 by b minus a up to a and b, and after b onward it is taking 0. F of the probability density function is 0. So if you try to find CDF, then CDF is coming like this way. Up to a it is 0, then there is a uniform density. That means a constant function. So if you integrate a constant function, just x will come. So it will be integral of a constant function always a linear function. So linear approach you observe. When you go after b onward, it is 0. So here it will go linear up to it will go 1, and after this word you are just summing all the probability up to x. So that's why here taking non-word after b onward, value of CDF it would be 1. So here you can observe a continuity of CDF. Here you can easily observe that there is no discontinuity in the CDF plot of CDF of continuous random variable. So here continuous, this CDF happens to be continuous in nature. Similarly, if you take another random variable, that one is you can observe that it is taking 0 PDF that protein density function is 0 up to x, and after between a and b it is taking value uh, linearly. It is not uniform, but it is linear in nature, and you can observe that it is giving a triangular shape or density. You can say that it is a triangle shape density. It is not uniform. Remember that it is not uniform. It is triangle in nature. So you can verify that it is a proper PDF. How you can verify? Find the area. Area must be 1. So how you can find area? So uh, before A and after B, we observe that density is 0. You can easily observe density is 0. Just it is having non-negative density between A and B. So it is having triangle shape. So easily we can find this area by using the concept of area of a triangle. What is how it is defined? It is talking about half into uh, base into base is what? Base is this one is the base. Base is this one. B minus A is the base into height. What is height? Height is already given here. What is that? 2 by B minus A. So multiply it with 2 by B minus A. So it is a proper density function. Why? Because it is satisfying normalizing condition. So you just calculate it. B minus A will cancel out B minus A, and 1 by 2 will cancel out 2. Remaining thing would be 1. So you can say that this density, this linear density, it is a proper density. And if you find CDF of this one, and CDF it becomes, because up to this PDF is 0, so it will be just the corresponding CDF would be also 0. But between A and B, PDF is linear in nature. So if you integrate a linear function, what is the integration of linear function? It is a quadratic in nature. So that's where you observe a quadratic CDF, quantity distribution function, and at B you observe value of CDF is 1, and afterward also CDF would be 1. So this is the plot of CDF of this linear PDF. So all these are the story of CDF, how you can get CDF from given PDF, and you can easily observe that in the both cases we had already seen that CDF happens to be a continuous function. It is a continuous function. We don't observe any discontinuity. But one thing we can observe, what? At the point where density is changing the behavior, at that point we observe some differentiability issue. That means non-smoothness kind of things. If you come to at this point, we can easily say that this CDF is not differentiable at this point. At this point, we can observe that there are two tangents at this point. If you go in, if you try to approach B from right hand side, then there is a constant tangent. This is the tangent, and if you try to approach from left hand side, this is the tangent. We observe another kind of tangent. So that's why at point B, this CDF is not differentiable. Also, we can say that for this example, at point A, this CDF is not differentiable. At point B, this CDF is not differentiable. So if some question is coming that whether a CDF of a given continuous random variable is differentiable or not, whether it is differentiable or not. So you have to see where the nature of PDF is changes. So where the PDF nature of PDF is changes, at that point definitely differentiability issue will come. So you have to be very much careful about those point where density is changing. You have to know about the smoothness of the CDF as well. So okay, so such kind of question would be very common. Okay, any question? If you are having, anyone is having any question, you can ask. Otherwise I'm going to discuss one more interesting example that we will take two random variable. One would be discrete, another would be continuous, and we will see that both random variable in the pattern of cumulative distribution, you will see that we can get CDF of one random variable from another. Now, here, what is difference between these two? Both look similar, but both are different in nature. That is geometric random variable. It is discrete in nature. It is a discrete random variable. And exponential is a continuous random variable. But we see a very beautiful relation between these two. How? So consider a geometric random variable that we are calling it x is a geometric random variable with parameter p. That means for just simplicity, we are taking x is the number of trial to obtain the first success in a sequence of uh, Bernoulli trials. Okay, so success up to keep on doing trial up to first success. That always come in the category of geometric random variable, and where probability of success p is already given, it would be given, definitely it would be given. Then what would be distribution of that geometric random variable? So it is talking about getting as first success. Before that, if suppose in this geometric distribution you are getting success at fifth trial, that means in the first k minus 1 trial you have already observed failure. That means you have to take probability of failure. So 1 minus p to the power k minus 1, it is probability of failure, and exactly at the 10th trial you are getting success. That's where p is coming. So that's why this is the distribution of geometric random variable here. That one is talking about number of trial till first success. So what would be CDF of this one? So here we can observe that geometric random variable is taking value discretely. So very easy to calculate CDF of this one by summing this all these probability up to x. So sum it up. So it is just a very nice finite geometric series, and take p common, p outside this series, and is sum this one. So summation is coming. It is very simple summation, 1 minus p to the power n. So very nice kind of summation is coming here. Similarly, if you are taking x, suppose x is a exponential random variable, so it is a continuous random variable kind of thing. And suppose this x is having a parameter lambda, then how we can find CDF? So we know that what is the distribution of exponential random variable? It is lambda time e to the power minus lambda when x is greater than lambda x, when x is greater than equal to 0. I am not taking scenario where x is 0 negative. At that density would be 0, so that due to that I am not taking that part. So just what you do in order to calculate CDF, just integrate this exponential function time lambda, and if you integrate it, what it is taking very nice form, 1 minus e to the power lambda x. So this is the CDF of exponential random variable. In next class, I will discuss what is the relation. If you are having CDF of exponential, how you can get back CDF of geometry, and if you are having CDF of geometry, how you can derive CDF of exponential. That thing I will discuss in next class. It is already 45 minutes. So regarding any question you can ask, and regarding attendance, go and mark your attendance there in the Google